Good evening, everybody. My name, as you know, is Robert Centeno. I am one of the co-founders to TGT, The Guys Tech. Our primary goal is we are just a computer or a technology-based consulting company, and we will help guide people anything technology related, whether it's from choosing the right computer or gadget to be able to fix the gadget, to actually being able to go to a large business and do all the networking, the wiring. We know all the equipment, we know all the gadgets, and we will have your answers, okay? Another thing that we do, as you know, is we make these videos that to help people to either get through difficult situations in life or just make better overall choices, whether it's your personal life or your business, whatever it could be, okay? So this time around, we're going to talk about something that I find very exciting. We're going to talk about what steps you need to take, or rather the real first step that you need to take when you are thinking about opening a business. Okay, and a lot of times you might jump on Google and you'll talk to people who have their own businesses and who have been there and done that and who are currently business owners. And a lot of times the first things you're going to hear is money, business plan, okay? And these are, while they are extremely important, a lot of people overlook the most important part of being a successful business owner is doing research. So give me a second and we'll jump right into what I'm talking about. All right, now I'm ready. I've got my tool here. I'm ready to go. So, all jokes aside, so before you can really jump into things and you start worrying about creating a business plan or paying somebody $1,200 to write a plan or trying to go to a bank and get your $300,000 or whatever it is that you're going to need, the very first thing that you need to understand, number one, is things take time. Okay? And to some people that might sound very obvious, but you will be surprised at how many people do not understand that simple concept. Okay? I made a video on failure, and I would recommend, of course, that you watch the video. And I talked about the famous writer Stephen King. Okay, and I'm going to talk a little bit about him right now as well. Stephen King is obviously, I just said, he's a famous writer. Now I want you to think about what that means. When you are a writer, and I said the same thing in the last video, when you're a writer and you want to create a world, something that's interesting enough that are going to make people all over the world, right? Millions and millions and millions of people, or billions or whatever, run to the store or run to Amazon to get your book. That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of shit that you have to do, because you have to sit there and you have to create a world. You have to create cities, towns, people, personalities. In some cases, we're making politics. We're making all these different things, right down to like individual complex, complicated characters that have years and years and years of backstory, especially like when you're reading about fantasy novels and things like that, or characters that have lived for thousands of years, you know. All these things you have to be able to create. So the point being is that it takes, for Stephen King, sitting down every day, writing for hours and hours and hours, erasing, throwing shit away, starting over again, right? And do you know how long it took him? It took him 12 years. 12 years of failure. 12 years before he saw any kind of real money. And the guy was struggling. You know, he did not have a really high-paying job. Him and his wife both had to work, and they were barely able to pay their bills. It was a very difficult life. And there was a time where he was offered a promotion at his job to get paid a little bit more money, just enough that they would actually be kind of okay. Okay? And his wife made him turn that promotion down. She told him, don't take that promotion, keep going. 12 years. And finally, he got one of his books published, and it started off with, I believe it was about $250,000 for the rights to the book, plus royalties. Okay? And obviously, we know it did not stop there. Okay? Sometimes it's that one more time, that one more try. That book that got him published, he threw it in the garbage because he thought it wasn't good, tossed it in the garbage, and he was going to completely give it up. And that's the book that got him published. Okay? I get customers that get angry. I mean, angry that they're cursing because their computer takes 40 seconds before it's ready to get on the internet, or before it's ready to open Microsoft Office. People get angry because they have to wait 40 seconds. People will tell me, Robert, my computer takes forever to start. There's something wrong with it. I'm ready to throw it in the garbage and I'm going to buy an Apple. You know, forget this Windows shit. Waiting 40 to 50 seconds, I'm just going to go buy an Apple, spend, $1,400 because this is ridiculous. It's taking way too long. I had a friend of mine who was in a relationship with a great girl, and my friend, what happened? He screwed up, he lied, he cheated, his girlfriend broke up with him, right? So he asked me for help. Robert, please, I need your help. Talk to her. Do you think I can fix it? Help me fix it, blah, blah, blah. So I told him, all right, listen, you broke her trust, okay? And do you really love her? And he says, yes, I love her. I want to marry her. I said, okay, good. So this is how it's going to happen. If you're really serious, then you need to work to rebuild that trust, to fix that trust. You're going to have to prove to her that you are a changed person. And there is no guarantee it's going to work. Okay? That's the other thing. There's never any guarantee. But the point of the story is that he said, okay, Robert, I'll do anything I need to do. I'll be patient. I'm going to wait. I'm going to show her, blah, blah, blah. This whole thing, we hugged each other. He was crying. I was emotional. I said, don't worry, I'll help you, blah, blah, blah. And you want to know how long he waited? You want to know how long he tried? 1 week. 1 week, and then he had a new girlfriend. And then he told me, Robert, I give up. I tried everything. I called her 3 times, and she didn't want to talk to me. So you know what, Robert? Forget her. I did everything. If she wants to be mad, then forget it. I'm not going to waste my time. We're living in a world now where so many people, we just want things our way right now. Nobody wants to work hard. Nobody wants to sacrifice or understand that it could take a really, really, really long time. Okay? And the reason why I'm talking about all these different scenarios is because when it comes to opening a business, unless you're filthy rich and you don't give a shit, and obviously this video is not for those people. This is for people that have to work really hard, and you're begging family and friends to lend you money, okay, and you're working your ass off. This aspect, this idea is going to be the most important thing that you need to understand, is that things take time. And there are going to be times where you may open a business and you may make mistakes and you may be forced to close your business. That is life. It happens every day, all the time. Some of you have been through it. Okay, we know this. but you keep going. You learn from your mistakes. You study what you did wrong. Don't make bullshit excuses. Don't say, oh, well, I had too much competition, or oh, the bank didn't give me enough money, or cousin Eddie didn't loan me the extra $50,000. Don't bullshit yourself and make excuses, okay? Accept that we had to make mistakes, study the mistakes that you made, and then when you're able to recoup and get your resources back, you try again. It's not impossible. Things take time. So, we're going to talk about the restaurant industry, because the restaurant industry, most people view it as a very, very challenging industry to get into. And rightfully so, because when you look up the restaurant industry and the failure rate, listen to me very carefully. You can go jump on the Google or look it up for yourself. I'm not making shit up. 90% of new restaurants fail in the first year. 90%. And then that 10% that makes it into the second year, 90% of those people fail the second year. And then the same thing for the third year. That 10% that makes it through the second year, 90% of those people fail in the third year. Now, it's real easy to look at that information and you're going to automatically, it may make you think, holy crap, that's insane. That sounds like things are too hard. Forget it. Maybe the restaurant business is not for me. Maybe that's the wrong industry. Maybe I have to look somewhere else, right? But how many of you have actually read or researched on why? Why do 90% of restaurants fail in the first 3 years? Because the number one reason is because most people that go to open a restaurant are people that do not have any restaurant or business experience. And even if you have business experience, even if you went to college and you have a PhD in business, whatever, but you've never owned a restaurant before and you don't really understand it wholeheartedly, what happens is these people, they work hard, they save their money, they get money from friends and family, and they just jump into it. They find a location, they open it up, they decorate it to look beautiful. They figure, you know what the mistake is that people say, hey, I've never owned a restaurant before, but it's okay because I can hire people that have owned a restaurant, that have been either an owner or a manager or bartender. I can hire all the right people. No problem, right? Wrong. You cannot open a business in an industry if you know nothing about it. How can you expect to run a flagship, to run something that is supposed to to give you your retirement money, to help your family and your friends? How can you expect to be successful in that if you don't fully understand how the industry works? You're going to leave it to other people to run for you? Let me tell you something. When you go to it could be a computer shop or whatever company you want to own or open, whatever it is you want to do. If you don't understand what the hell you're doing and you walk in to your office or to your restaurant or your shop or whatever it is, and you want to check up on things, right? You want to make sure everything is okay, but you don't really understand what's going on, your employees are not going to respect you. And if you don't have employees who respect you, you are worthless. You've got nothing. Okay? And I know that sounds really harsh. It sounds terrible, but that is the truth. If you are a business owner and your employees don't respect you, you've got nothing. Okay? You are supposed to be the leader. You are supposed to be the one that shows up and has the answer, or at least if you don't have the answer, you at least have some idea as to where you should look to get the answer. Okay? If you're losing money, you should be able to know why you're losing money and what changes you have to make. You shouldn't be going into your own business and then you tell your manager, the guy that you hired, hey, we're losing money, what's going on? Fix this problem, fix this problem. Because you're going to look like an idiot and your business is going to fail. And if you've been lucky and you are an owner or you know somebody that's doing what I'm telling you not to do, all that is just the luck of the draw, as they say. You're just lucky. You do not want to be an owner of whatever company and not have a full grasp on the industry that you're in. And that is where research comes into play. Okay, so if you want to open a restaurant, and again, I'm sorry for the noise because we've got the pipes banging with the heat over here, but if you want to do things the right way, what you need to do first is, again, we're going to be talking about restaurants because it is a very challenging thing and you learn a great deal from running a restaurant, about any kind of business. The first thing you need to do, of course, is find an area that you think you could make money, okay? Not an exact physical location, but go to different areas. Just pick one out, right? Like, let's say you want to open a restaurant in Midtown Manhattan, which I kind of really don't recommend right now. But what you would do is you would go down to that area and you go to different restaurants in that area that have a similar type of feel that you want in your own restaurant, okay? And you have to go to these places and you have to sit down, you have to order a drink, you have to order some food, and what you're going to do is you're going to watch customers. You know, you're going to get the experience yourself, the actual, when I say experience, I mean the customer experience. Look around at what other people are eating. What are they ordering? What are they drinking? What times are busy? Right? What times are not busy? And for times that are not busy, are these places doing something to draw in a crowd? So for example, there was a restaurant down in Manhattan called World of Beer, which I loved the place. I mean, the food was delicious, the beers were awesome, the place closed down, unfortunately. Terrible, okay? But what they tried to do during slow days like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is they had different things happening each evening to try to draw in customers. They had a trivia night where they were playing games. So each table that participated was a team, and whatever table would win the trivia night would get a certain percentage off their meals, or they would get free stuff, they would get points towards something, okay? So you have to look at these things. You have to look at what type of people are in the area. This is another huge mistake that people make. People think, well, everybody likes to eat, everybody likes to drink, so everybody's a customer, right? No, that is not true. Because if you open, let's say you go down to like the Essex area in Manhattan, right? And primarily lots of hipsters, lots of, people who they walk around the area because it's a cool, beautiful looking area, but people who are not looking to spend shit tons of money. If you open something up in an area that maybe you like the area, but the customers are not looking to spend money, you could open up the most beautiful looking restaurant. Let's say you open up an Italian restaurant, right, in one of these areas, and beautiful decorating, beautiful, you have the nice, you see the wood, the dark wood, and the beautiful tables with the nice tablecloths, and all the dinnerware and glasses are set up real nice, and your food is delicious, right? But it doesn't matter, because that type of group does not like this type of atmosphere. So it won't matter how beautiful your restaurant looks. It won't matter how delicious your food is. Sometimes the look, people will walk by your restaurant and they look inside for a second, and if the atmosphere, if the look of the place doesn't appeal, even if your prices are cheap, people will not walk in just because of the look of the restaurant. It goes right down to the decorations, the paint job. Do you have wood, or do you have like painted walls? What type of dinnerware are you serving? What type of glasses and the plates? It really goes down to those details. Because if people complain, you should, for those of you who have not, you should go to Yelp, okay, and look up just some random restaurants and look at some of the negative reviews. Some of the negative reviews are so stupid, and they have nothing to do with the quality of the service or the quality of the food, okay? People complain about utter bullshit, and then they'll give 1 star or 2 stars, and that rating will seriously hurt your restaurant or your business, whatever it is you're doing. If I want to open a computer shop, okay, and I open a shop like something like Micro Center, for example. I don't know if those of you who know Micro Center. Micro Center is a great place, by the way, to buy computer anything. There's one in Queens, there's one here in Yonkers, there's one in Brooklyn, there's in Long Island, there's a few around all over the country. But when you walk into Micro Center, the feeling that you get just from walking in is it looks like it's kind of an upscale, expensive place to buy stuff, okay, which it's not. They actually have great prices, better in many cases, actually better than Best Buy. Actually, I don't think I've ever seen even Best Buy be able to beat them in prices for new equipment and new merchandise. Pretty good. But when you walk into the store, there's just this upscale feeling that you get just by looking at the way the physical place is structured, from the paint job to how they have things set up nicely on their table, on their glass shelves, in the aisles for the most part. So that look alone sometimes intimidates people, and people will assume, oh, this kind of looks like an expensive place. In some cases, it may turn people off, depending on what your lifestyle is or what type of person you are. So I can't just open up just any kind of shop that I want. I have to think about the area and what type of people live in that area and what matters to these customers. I cannot open up something thinking about, well, what I want, and I think this looks good, and I think this looks nice. You have to do it toward the customer. And the only way you're going to be able to figure that out is by going to other places that you will be competing with and see how they operate. And again, stuff like that takes time. Just like I said, I'm not talking about doing this for 1 month or 2 months. I'm talking about it may take a year or two until you have a solid grip of the entire area, not just one particular area in Manhattan or Philadelphia or wherever it is, okay, not just one small area, but you should have a strong understanding of everything going on in all the different areas, okay? Because you do have the ability, of course, depending on the choices you make, you can also pull people from further away. You may be able to say, hey, even though I want to open a restaurant on the Lower East Side, I've been to the Upper West Side and I've seen these types of people, and I think I could capture those people too, right? You may actually be able to pull people from all sorts of areas. You don't want to be that type of company or that type of restaurant or computer shop where people just go one time just for the experience, right? Oh, I went to Rob's, Rob's Burger Place. I went to Rob's computer shop. It was cool. It was a new place. I just wanted to check it out, but I'm probably not going to go back. You don't want to be one of those places. You want to be a place that people are going to look forward to going to as often as they have the money to go. And that's another thing you have to think about too, is when you are researching your target customer, you have to understand what type of job these people have. How much money are they making? How often do they go out to eat? How much money do they spend when they go out to eat? And what type of foods are they getting? Okay, this is why when you go to these different places, you have to look very carefully at, what's being ordered the most. You can ask your waiter, ask the bartender, hey, what's the most popular dish here? What's the most popular beers here? Or drinks that you have here? Ask questions. You'll be surprised. There's tons of restaurant owners or just employees who will be happy to help answer questions for you. You can tell them, I'm thinking in the future about opening a place and I'm trying to, I would like to learn more. There's plenty of people out there who will happily help you and answer your questions. And you collect all this information, you write it down, go with the book, write shit down, pay careful attention. And in time, you will be amazed at what you learn. And how quickly, over time, how quickly your mind will be able to put pieces of the puzzle together when you are faced with different challenges. Okay, it's very important to do research. And the research doesn't just stop at going to different restaurants. You also need to read about successful places. Like, for example, I talked in one of my business videos, I talked about a restaurant owner named Robert Fry, or Bobby Fry, okay? And he opened up a really beautiful place. I believe it's in Pittsburgh. It's called Bar Marco. I believe he's no longer there anymore. But the point being is that he wanted to do something different. He was extremely successful, and I believe he was the first person to stop tips from being paid to his employees. And that is huge, huge. A restaurant where the owner does not want you to pay their employees, the waiters, the runners, the bartenders, any tip. Why? Because he turned around and he started paying. He restructured the entire restaurant and he started paying his employees a base salary of, I believe it was a little above 30, I think it was 35,000 per employee. Plus, he gave them benefits, vacation time. He gave them the ability to buy stock, to buy shares in the restaurant, paid time off, holidays, everything. Now, in the restaurant industry, nobody does that, right? That's insane. If the majority of restaurants started doing that, everybody would be out of business, like in the first month. Can you imagine? So what did he do? Well, aside from like I had mentioned in one of my other videos, treating his employees, acknowledging that his employees were the lifeline of his restaurant, he felt that one of the things that was missing from the restaurant business is the connection from the customer, from the patron to the waiter or the waitress or the bartender, the personal connection. So what I mean is, what he would do is he would make his employees actually read books and do book reports. And his employees would have to actually, like I said, they would read a book and then have to do a report, write an essay or whatever, and give it to Mr. Fry. And that sounds, might sound a little crazy to some of you, but the reason why he did that was because now, the more reading that his employees did, the more they knew about different things that were happening around the world. I think they were non-fiction books. I can't remember, but I think it was non-fiction, okay? Now his waiters and waitresses and bartenders and managers, now they had a lot of different things to talk about with the customers. So any subject that the customer would bring up, the waiter, waitress, or the employee could actually connect and talk to the customer about whatever it was. And they could have an intelligent conversation, create a connection, create a relationship. And this was building something with the patrons that would keep people from coming to the restaurant on a regular basis because of the atmosphere and the feeling people got. And that's something that you won't find on your own by visiting different places. So it's really important that you research and read about successful places. And because people were having such an amazing time at the restaurant, he didn't have to raise prices of his food. The prices of the dishes actually remained the same. I believe the portions got a little smaller, just a little smaller, but they were still good enough that people were not complaining. It was the overall experience that he changed, and it just made everything so much better for his customers, for his patrons. Okay, so going on Google and going to entrepreneur.com or going to the Food Network or watching some of these reality shows where where the chefs, gosh, I forgot his name right now, but they have the show where this one particular chef goes to restaurants that are in trouble, and he goes in and he tells them all the different things they're doing wrong. There's quite a few chefs that do that, but you want to watch all these things because you learn about mistakes that people are making, what to look for, how to handle different things that come about. Okay. Another thing you really have to understand is the finances. Okay, don't just hire an accountant and give everything to them. Okay, you need to have an understanding of how the money coming in, where it's going, what you're spending. Don't just ignore it and give it to somebody else, because that's when bullshit starts to happen. That's when people start stealing from you. People don't respect you. And like I said before, if you don't have the respect of the people that you hire, all hell's going to break loose, because it's not going to matter to them. If you treat people like shit, your employees like shit, or you don't really know what you're doing, or both, which is the worst, obviously the worst possible thing, you're done. Okay, and understanding proper leadership is something else, but we'll talk about that in another video. Leadership is detrimental to being successful in business. I mean, it is another extremely important thing. Okay, but again, we'll talk about that later. Right now, again, understand the two most important things for this video is you have to understand that things take time. Nothing is just going to happen your way every single time. There's going to be some really horrible, difficult times that may come, your way. And just remember that even if you do fail, even if you have to close your business, it doesn't mean it's over. You just study your mistakes and learn, get better, and then you can always try again. Okay, but it starts with understanding things take time. You got to be patient, you got to be diligent, and you have to do research. Do not open a business that you know nothing about just because you think you can make tons and tons of money. And that's another thing we're going to have to talk about, is people who just think that it's all about the money, and that's bullshit. Okay, we'll talk about the details on that another time again, but you need to do something that you are passionate about, something that you love. Don't just open a bar because, yes, if you're successful, you can make a ridiculous amount of money if you open a bar. Like a small place, you're just selling some simple foods that go with different types of beers or wines or cheeses or whatever it is possible. You can really make good money, but you should not get involved just because you're just thinking about money. Okay, because that's another recipe for disaster. Okay, do something that you love. Okay, and even if you're like an artist or you're a photographer and maybe you're going through difficult times, and that or being a writer, an artist or photographer, it is tough to get into that field to make tons of money, because there's just so many. People think that they have a $3,000 camera, they think that they're a photographer because they put their pictures in black and white, or because they throw it on Photoshop and do the auto-tune and auto-color and bullshit or whatever. Okay, yet it's so many different people out there that are involved, so it is tough. But if you love doing it, That's going to be what eventually separates you from these other people. That's going to drive you and push you to get the success that you want. Do it because you love it. The money will come, okay? But don't just jump into something that you don't understand just because you think you're going to get paid lots of money, because that's just setting yourself up for complete failure, okay? And we're going to continue doing stuff like this to help people. Again, we are computer consulting, anything technology related, but we are also here to help develop people, to help businesses, to help strengthen communities. People know me. I'm very involved in the Thai community. I want to be more involved in the Thai community, and it's been a wonderful experience. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.